don't get so much feedback.
Yeah, I think the person who just joined, push the mute button. Okay, that sounds better. I do hear a little bit of feedback.
Yeah, we got feedback.
So that's probably one that's getting picked back up over the line. Go ahead and hit your mute button. That'd be awesome.
You can turn it up if you need to.
And okay, I think that did it. I can always mute everyone's line, but I hate to do that in case there's questions. So I think we're going good now. That sounds good. Okay, so I'll just go ahead and go over the agenda one more time. We'll start out with a little bit of an introduction to the new system, talk about passwords and logins. We'll talk about how you guys can check your Wonders data, make sure everything lines up with the map over, give you some screenshots of the new system, and then we'll actually do a live demo with the some sample data that we have and do some reporting, show you some of the reporting features with some actual live data. So we've actually been able to do this around an hour, hour and 15 minutes, so hopefully we won't keep you for the whole 2 hours. We will provide you with a copy of this PowerPoint, also recording it so that we can give you access to that on YouTube if you need to show other staff members what's going on, or if someone wasn't able to make the training, it's no problem. You can show them the video. The training. As you'll see, the system is, although it's got some extra bells and whistles, once you get to the data entry piece, it's very similar. It's got a nicer, updated look, but you know the forms well, and that's not going to be any big deal for you guys. A little bit about what it takes to run this new and updated system. Because we are on a new platform, it's cloud-based. It's so much faster than Wonders. It does require a little bit of an update to our computers here at UW anyway. We had to make sure all of our Windows systems were updated. So I know there's probably newer Windows than Windows 7, but that will be high enough to get you going on the new system. Besides your Windows system, you also want to make sure that you have whatever your browser is, that you have the most updated version. We highly recommend that you use Google Chrome, and that's very easy to download from the web if you don't use that as your browser already. You can certainly use, if you have requirements of your organization that you can only use Internet Explorer, whatever, that's fine. It looks a little different. I think it performs pretty much the same. It just doesn't look as nice, I don't think. So if you have questions about browser issues or anything like that, feel free to give us a call. It seems pretty simple for most folks. And there's a question about Windows XP, and yes, there's actually a note about it here. It says XP systems prior to XP going away should work just fine. And yes, we will provide you with a copy of this slideshow. Afterwards, you can get it. You can expect an email from Hattie, and we may just send it to Connie and send it all around. It's up to you guys, but you'll get a copy of this as well. Let me just make sure there's no other questions popping up here. Okay, looking good. Okay. Make sure you have this no reply at WrapTMS.org in your safe senders list. Because this is a HIPAA compliant system, it will be required of you that you change your password every 60 days. If something happens where you lose your password or you forget it or whatever, you're going to be getting an email from this no reply at WrapTMS address. So just make sure it's in your safe senders. All right, so a quick introduction to the system. As you know, it does contain the Wraparound Fidelity Index version 4, and I know there are a couple of LA sites that are using the TOM as well, separate from LA County. So it does contain both of those. It also contains our new Wi-Fi short form, which is the Wi-Fi Easy. This is basically, if you haven't heard of it yet, it's just a self-report version of the Wi-Fi 4 that we've been developing over the last year and a half. And the great thing about the Wi-Fi Easy is, like I said, it's self-report. There are less questions on this version, but we are getting more information. So besides just the kind of process information, We also have some satisfaction questions, some outcomes questions, and things like that. So I think it captures more information, but it's much easier and less intensive to collect the data. Any questions about the easy, feel free to contact us. We won't go too far into it today. I have a question here. Can we get all the updated Wi-Fi forms? That question was from Tawny. And do you mean the Wi-Fi 4 forms, Tawny? Or you were thinking examples of the Wi-Fi easy forms?
Well, I have like the team observation measure, the TOM, and the easy form. I have the index, the fidelity index one, but I'm sure they have updated all the forms. I just wanted to make sure that we would have access to those. And is that going to be on the website? Do we need to get them from you guys specifically? How does that work?
Yeah, so the Wi-Fi 4, actually, we have not updated that form since LA's been using it, for sure.
Okay.
So you've definitely got the most updated version of those.
Okay.
TOM was updated in 2009.
Okay.
So as long as we have that. And then we can send new examples of Wi-Fi Easy because that actually has been updated in the last month or two.
Okay. Can you guys send that along with like the PowerPoint stuff?
Absolutely. Let me make a note here.
Great. Thank you so much.
No problem. All right. Any other questions on the forums or what's contained in the system? All right. Cool. A little bit about the platform and the updated platform that this is built on. So I think we've actually possibly done a webinar with LA County already, or perhaps some folks were on the NWI webinar about the team monitoring system. But in conjunction with the update to Wonders, we've been building this kind of comprehensive web-based team monitoring system where teams and administrators can kind of monitor what's going on besides the fidelity piece. So we're more about like engagement, documentation, strengths and needs, family stories, meeting notes, service stuff, outcome stuff, all this in addition to fidelity. And basically, we wanted to give, as I'm sure you guys have noticed and we've noticed here at the national level, a real lack of this type of system for people to use and for use up. So as we've been creating this over the last year and a half, we realized a real opportunity for us to update Wonders. And so you kind of think of WrapTrack and TMS as maybe like a brand new home that was built on this beautiful lot. And the home is TMS. And WrapTrack is kind of like the mother-in-law apartment. It's got its own entrance. You don't have to live in both to live in one or the other. So TMS users can certainly link to WrapTrack with their kids and vice versa, but you don't have to use both. You can simply only use WrapTrack or only use TMS. The great thing about TMS is it's totally customizable to any local catchment area. We can have appropriate language, appropriate codes, etc. Depending on what kind of outcomes measures you use, those can all be customized. So the example we use here, CANS, CAFIS, etc. And the dashboard design that we have with TMS crosses over to WrapTrack as well. So it's a really nice layout. Like I said, it's cloud-based. You guys are going to enjoy the much quicker download times, etc. If you have more interest in TMS, feel free to contact us. You can, if you like, get a free 30-day trial, kind of check it out. Which is cool. Just shoot us an email. All right. If there's no questions on TMS, we'll go ahead and talk a little bit about WrapTrack. So here's just a screenshot of what you'll see when you log in. And do note the new login page here. We're still working on our splash page, which, as we used to know, was wrapinfo.org, and that's going to be up and running in a few days, hopefully. Right now, we're sending folks directly to the site, wraptms.org. You can see at the top there. So go ahead and write that down. In a few days, hopefully, you can go back to that wrapinfo.org page. But as you can see, nice new layout, username and password, and then there's a forgot password link. One thing that's key to note about WrapTrack is that we no longer have access to your password. So they make it super easy for you to reset your password in the system, or they make it easy for you to click on the link, provide some information, and they will send you your password. Now, one thing that's super important is that we have everyone's updated email addresses. So Connie, I think as we get going a little bit deeper into the system here, you and I will want to sit down and make sure everyone's contact information is correct. All right, so I touched on a little earlier that this system is HIPAA and FERPA compliant. And one thing that that means for the user is that we have this new kind of system enforced password rules that we have to use. So basically you can see from this slide that there are a couple things the system's going to make you do. One, you can't just have the word wrap as your password. It's got to be at least 6 characters long with a maximum of 16 characters. It's got to have at least 1 letter, 1 number, and 1 special character. So if you use like a banking website or something like that, they'll have a similar type of setup. Like it says, in 60 days, it'll force you to change your password if you don't do that on your own. And it also will keep track of your 10 previous passwords, so you can't just keep kind of using the same one over and over again. It also will disable your account if you try, you can see it, this bullet right here. If you try 5 attempts in 10 minutes and fail 5 times, it will disable your account. If that happens, shoot us an email. We'll get you back online. Not a huge deal, but much easier if you don't get it right to just use that forgot password link. You can also set up, once you get logged in, your own period of time that you wish for the system to log you out. So anywhere between 15 and 60 minutes. So like if you're going to go in and do a whole bunch of data entry, you might want to set that for 60 minutes. If you have toddlers at home like I do, I would set that for 15 minutes just in case. What else? Everything's encrypted. Anytime you send something over the network, it's encrypted, and that includes your passwords. So, okay, good question. Does the Wonder username and password transfer, or will we have to set up new accounts with WrapTMS? So the good news is, to start with, you should be able to log in with your old username and password. Once you set that up, you will be required to change it, and if it's not HIPAA compliant, you'll definitely be required to change it. I'm not positive, actually, because I haven't done this myself or set up a new account myself, if it makes you do it right away or if you have that kind of 60-day period to change it. But you'll find out right away once you get in there. All right, any questions about passwords? So I imagine with as large a site as LA, we might have some people forgetting it or have some problems getting in. If that's the case, Connie and I will work together to get you guys set up and going on the new system. It won't be a big issue at all. All right, no questions on the permissions. So, on the passwords. Let's talk a little bit about the permissions, and this is not necessarily as relevant to LA because you have your organization set up. It's pretty standard. You've got on the left what used to be Wonders. As you know, we kind of had this 5 levels of access. However, LA only really used 3. You've got us here at WIRT. You've got level 2, DCFS, LA County, County Hall. And then we've got level 3, which is all the folks at the local sites entering data, running reports and exports. In WrapTrack, it's pretty similar. The main difference is that we have so much freedom to kind of set up these sub-user levels. So same thing here. The design administrator, and you'll see kind of a different language here with WrapTrack. Design administrator is us. So we can log in and we can run reports on your data and stuff, but we can't actually get in there and see your use files. But we will be able to run reports and see your data. Then we've got our local head, again, DCFS here. And Connie, I'll be working with you and whoever's appropriate to kind of set up your permissions across LA County. And there's literally tons of ways we can set it up in different permissions. I'm assuming you'll want that consistent across all the sites, but we can talk about that later.
Okay, certainly.
Yeah, we won't make everybody suffer through that, but okay, so here's just a couple examples of local site configurations. And in the first one, you guys are probably actually more like number 2 here, where we have WRT, the agency head, DCFS, and then these kind of different levels of access. Again, this is going to be pretty consistent for all the users. And actually, one thing we might be able to do is give that Tom access maybe a little cleaner. I'm not sure really how that worked in Wonders, but I know there's a couple sites using Tom, so there's just basically different options there. All right, let's just show you a little bit of the system here, and then we'll just go right to the live demo. So here's basically what you see when you log in. Like I said, this is a dashboard-based system, and in TMS, as opposed to WrapTrack, because there's so much information, this kind of dashboard setup is really cool because you can move stuff around, add pages, you know, set your reminders, and it really organizes things nicely. WrapTrack does the same thing. It's just there's not as much information, so there's only 3 or 4 boxes here that you'll really utilize. But it's a nice display. Gives you some quick links here, and I think kind of a much easier and quicker way to access your kids as well. Up here you'll see user settings. Here's your change password tab. If you know your current password, there's where you change it. You've got a couple of user settings and etc. So you can see all across the system it says, team monitoring system. Team monitoring made simple, but then here's our little WrapTrack. So I want to draw your attention to the menu tab. When you click the menu tab, here's where you're going to find your WrapTrack tab here, where you're going to go for data entry and reporting. But basically it gives you a nice date and time stamp. Here's the home page where you can always go back to your main dashboard. Your youth enrollment. And I'm sure everyone will be happy to know that this will replace that demographic, those annoying demographics with the Tom forms that you had to fill out for every form that you completed. Here, it's just a one-time enrollment, and all that information spans across all the forms, so it's pretty great. Here's your data entry and reporting tab. Obviously, there's your WrapTrack, and then Connie will have this, DCFS will have this kind of administrative tab where you can set all those permissions. And again, not relevant for everybody, but for the local head, that's relevant. Here's an example of that enrollment tab that I was talking about. So whereas in Wonders, you kind of have to fill out that demographic form for each kid, here you just put it in here once, and then that information goes across all forms. You can see this enrollment button here where WrapTrack really does a much nicer job of documenting changes in enrollment statuses, etc. So I'll take you through that in the live demonstration. But here's just kind of a visual, little different look. When it comes to the data entry, like I said before, you'll breeze right through it. It's just the same across the phases, etc. And you pull the forms down just like you did in Wonders. We did update our reports slightly, so a lot of the same information is contained, but I think it's a little more user-friendly right now. So we broke those big, giant demographic reports out into 4 different reports, which is nice. We kept these the same. Team membership and RAP process, services, supports, and strategies, those are the same. We combined all the fidelity reports, so Report 7 contains overall fidelity, principal, and phase scores. And Report 8 stayed the same. That used to be Report 10. We combined Report 9 to have strengths and areas for 1. And then Report 10 is the same. I'll go ahead and have the new caller mute your line. And if you have a question, just feel free to unmute and speak out. happy to answer any questions you might have. Here's a visual of the export section. Pretty similar to Wonders, but I would say it's pretty significantly, and I'll take you through that. See, even the display, I think, is much nicer. We've got some new and updated filters for you to use in the export. And here's the TOM piece. I know most sites aren't using the TOM. That's that TOM report. Right. So if there's no questions, I'm going to take you to the live demo real quick here. Have caller go ahead and mute your phone line. Cut back a little background noise. So for the moment, I'll just mute all the lines until we can get everybody with their line muted. That's not a big deal. A couple questions popping up here that I want to address really quick. Question, when do you create the client ID? And that is something that you do locally. So Connie, I'm not sure if there is a way that DCF wants folks to create client IDs, and it may be that each provider does it differently. That really depends on the local site. Connie, do you have any insight to that question?
No, April, I sort of trust your judgment on this, so we can discuss nuances later.
Sure. And I'll take you through how we've changed the different IDs on the forms themselves, and that might help to clarify the question a little bit. If not, just let me know and we can get more specific on that. Another question, how often do you export information? Is that specifically how often does UW export your information, or is that kind of like a user question at the local level? What's the purpose of the export function?
It's kind of like at the user level, like how often do you want us to export the information? Does it automatically go out, or do we need to export it manually?
So the way we've been doing it in LA, I know you guys have deadlines for data entry, and Connie or myself usually download reports and get that information after that specific date. Now, whether or not you guys want to export the data, totally up to you, and Connie, just let me know if I'm messing this up. But there's actually no requirement to export the data. Is that right,
No,
Connie?
that's strictly for each agency if you want to look at your data for yourselves, because like April said, we run it. I give you a little bit of leeway after the deadline, and we run the full county reports at that time.
Yeah, so whatever the agency prefers, it's totally up to you. Same with reporting. So last question here. I was creating my own IDs. Will I still continue to do that? Yes, that's correct. There's really no reason to change the way you're doing things locally. The only thing that will change is, the system itself, but everything else should stay the same. All right, so let me go ahead and log into this kind of fake data set that we have here. Brad Pitt's made time out of his busy schedule to come and do some work for us here. Very lucky for me and everyone else. Let me, hold on, this has changed passwords. Let me grab that real quick. Too many passwords in this world, honestly, but here we go. All right, there we go. All right, so you can see when I log in here, I've moved stuff around here a little bit. You can see you can hide boxes or make them bigger or smaller. Right now we've got no boxes here. No dashboard whatsoever. So it'll take you up to the menu button. So besides accessing your kids here in the dashboard, you can also just access your kids from the menu bar. There we go. Get this back here. Kind of like this guy up here. Anyway. All right, so back up to the menu here. So here's our timestamp. Here is back to the home dashboard. Enrollment, this is where we're going to go to add a new youth record or work with an existing record or work with all records. And then here's our WrapTrack data entry stuff. I think the first thing to do is just kind of show you how to add a new youth record. Now keep in mind that all your old files from Wonders have been mapped over, so a lot of this information is going to be filled in with all the kids that are already in there. So when you get to the point where you're enrolling new kids, it's pretty, simple. Just fill out the usual info here. A nice updated date selection thing here. So if you click on the month, you can actually, again, click on the year and even make it easier to kind of go back. So I know a lot of sites, and LA County, I don't think you're one, but I can't remember actually, that really prefer not to use HIPAA information. So that would be name and birth date, and that's totally fine. If you don't want to use name and birth date, you'll see this warning down here that says Wrap ID will be taken as last and first name if first name and last name are not provided. So let's just pretend Jackson's actually not in here and we want to do that. You can see it just puts it in here for us. We are going to make this required. I don't think it's required right now, but this is that kind of youth and family ID that you've been including on all your WIFI forms thus far. You can see these two IDs up here. We have case number and Medicaid number. I don't know if you remember in Wonders, but we had just like a ridiculous amount of ID variables, and what we learned is that people just really, it's a lot of extra work and people don't really need that. So we did leave you one extra ID variable. If there's something special you want to identify the family by, you can. And we also have this kind of Medicaid number, which in WrapTMS is tied to like a funding stream. But for here, you can track it there if you want. But no matter what you do, make sure you fill out this Wrap ID section. All right, so let's go ahead and put Jackson back in here. All right, we can leave all this address stuff blank if you like. Again, in WrapTMS, it's great to have this info. I don't know if it's as important for folks in WrapTrack. It's up to you. But for now, we'll just save this information. So once I enroll the kid and I save, it says, youth record added successfully. Did you want to fill out the other details? Yes or no? If you hit no, you can just kind of keep on adding youth, or if you hit yes, it'll take you to what we call the youth page. Now you can see the information I added there. There's the Wrap ID. And everything is here. Now if I would have, or once I complete a caregiver form, this information will fill in. Once I complete a facilitator form, this information will fill in. And you can see once I enroll a kid, if you look at the enrollment status, it's going to automatically put it as pending. So, you know, whereas in Wonders, you really would never want to use Wonders as a tracking system for your kids. And I'm not saying you should do that in this, but I'm saying you definitely could if you wanted to. It gives you a little bit more options as far as updating enrollment status, etc. I'm sure everyone already has their own tracking system, and that's totally up to you. But if we want to change this, and you do want to change this for your kids, I'm assuming that at some point they're all being enrolled in wraparound. You're going to want to change them to enrolled. And here is where in LA County, once you enroll them, you're going to associate them with your provider organization. So in LA, this is going to have that long list of providers, and you're going to have to select the correct one. I can't remember if based on permissions that we assign, perhaps only your organization will pop up. That would be all the better. Let's go ahead and save that. So then you can see how you can have this kind of ongoing enrollment status update. So if a family disenrolls, you can simply select discharged, and then you can also select why. Met all goals, not engaged, placed in residential, etc. Now these types of lists we can modify. If you've got ideas as to what would be better here or to add here, please let us know. And that goes for any of these types of lists. However, in WrapTrack, obviously everything's pretty much set, whereas if we were in TMS, there'd be all kinds of lists to customize. But here we will just, we'll cancel this and just leave this Jackson Brown enrolled here. Close out the enrollment. So anytime you want to go there, there's the enrollment tab at the bottom. One upgrade from Wonders that you'll see here is it shows you who entered this information. So Connie, for example, when you log in, it'll show you who entered it, when they entered it, and when they last edited it. So it's kind of nice to have a running track of what has been going on in this file. So any questions on the enrollment? I've got a couple of questions in the box here that I'll address really quickly.
She's going to address them now. Oh, okay. She saw them.
First question, is the WRAP ID different from the ID number we create ourselves? That's probably what you're creating locally is what you want to use for WRAP ID.
Oh.
If you had something in addition to the WRAP ID, you would put that in the case number. But my guess is most sites just are going to have this WRAP ID variable.
Mm-hmm.
Next question, is there a way we can see what ID number we had created? Yeah, so if you go into your, go ahead and get out of this file, go to your enrollment, and go to work with all youth records. You can see all the WRAP IDs you've used in this column right here.
Good. We're doing ours by numbering, right? Okay, just continuing.
And if folks were only using the ID here, it would all be sorted by that instead of name. We've done a variety of things here in this full data set. But next question, what do we put as our organization? That is already set in Wonders. So for example, if you're from Children's Bureau, then Children's Bureau would pop down. If you're from Foothill, then Foothill would pop down.
That's already set. Okay.
Yeah. And if any of those are incorrect, let Connie and myself know, and we'll get those up. I think everything's fine, but. Next question, if we have two people entering information, do we need two separate logins? That's a great question. This is a really nice upgrade from Wonders. So as you kind of realize these new nuances of the new system, Connie and I can work together to set that up for you. So the answer is yes. You definitely can, and I would recommend that you create two separate logins just because if we want to stick to the HIPAA compliant programming that we've done, that would be the best way to go. That definitely doesn't mean you have to do that. I mean, obviously, we've shared logins and passwords the whole time we were in Wonders, and if that works best for your provider agency, that's fine. You can still share, but you can definitely create new ones as well. Okay, any other questions or questions that I missed on the enrollment piece? So the cool thing is, if you did have two separate logins, and because this system is on a live platform, and let's say we've got two people, looks like, at Children's Institute, Kathy's entering data in one room, and Daniel is here looking at this form, right, and he hits refresh. If Kathy had entered a new use, it would pop up here. So everything's live, everything is goes live as soon as you put it in. And one more question, do you still need a facilitator ID? If you have been collecting facilitator ID, I would keep doing that. Sites that don't necessarily care to look at how particular facilitators are doing don't generally do that. It's really up to you. And it's not like the WIFI 4 is meant to evaluate facilitator performance. So unless LA County says yes, you have to, then it's really up to you. But I would basically keep going with the way you've been doing it. Okay, so let's go back to that youth record that we, whoops. Actually, while we're at it here, you saw what it looked like when you work with all youth records. Basically, you get a whole list there. If you're just looking for one particular one and you know the kid's name or the ID or whatever, there's a couple of different search options here. Let's see, if I know that I'm looking for Jackson, the guy I just put in, I can type that in here, or I could type in their ID, or we could even go with, you know, contains something if I only know his last name. Let's see if this works. Search there, yeah, so he popped up there. There we go. So that's one way you can search for kids.
Editing something.
But let's go ahead and go back to, oh no, this is the file I wanted to look at, so let's X that out. So besides the demographic piece here, you see this other tab called WrapTrack. This is that other piece of the facilitator form that we separated. So this basically is just the school information. Has youth been in school, yes or no? If no, you have a reason here. What will they be next year? NA or, let's say NA. Now in TMS, the tabs go all the way across here, so there's, you know, so much more information to put. So it's kind of silly, I think, but that's just kind of how it worked out in WrapTrack. So we've got the demographics page and then the school info under this WrapTrack tab. All right, I think that's it for enrollment. Let me see. I think I have another couple questions here. Okay, so really good question about enrollment. If your agency has 2 logins, will both people be able to view all records? And that is something we can actually set up permissions for. If you want that to happen, we can set that up. If not, we can set it up separately. That's something we'll have to work with Connie on. So Connie and I can kind of figure out a way to systematically figure out what each site wants. And options will probably be to kind of leave it the way it is, or if in this case you want to add another user, we'll have to just kind of get that information from everybody. All right, I think I got, yep. Another question I missed here. Is there a box to enter facilitator ID? Yes, that is actually entered on the facilitator form. Let's check that out. So let's go to the actual assessments tab here. Move from the youth tab to the assessments tab. And very similar to Wonders, you just pull down whatever form you want to add. So the great thing is you no longer have to demographic form, but let's just say we want to add the facilitator form. It pops out into a separate box, a separate window, I should say. So here is where we would enter that facilitator ID, I think. Actually, I don't see it here. Try this. I wonder if it's that facilitator name would be the facilitator ID. We'll just sample it. We'll just try that. And just like, this is just like Wonders, so this is nothing new here. All the information is right on your form. We'll just go ahead and a little bit of a change in has the youth ever been in custody of the state or county or none. Is youth currently receiving wraparound? Yes. How many months? Do they have a team? Yes. And here's where you would check who's on the team, just like we did in Wonders. Still room to write other if we missed anything, but you do note that we did add Youth Support Partner Advocate, which was not in Wonders. So you no longer have to put that in other. Go ahead and save that. Actually, let's just go ahead and go through this. So this is actually just like Wonders. You can either hit and select, or you can tab and hit the number. And just kind of go ahead down the tabs. Get you through this really quickly here. And see, I've got some questions popping up in the box, so I'll get to those in just a sec. And then
That's an easy form.
One thing that's kind of nice if you are tracking how long these are taking, it won't let you go more than 180 minutes. Yeah. There's a warning that pops up. But I believe we said it was 6 p.m., so we'll make sure this works here. Yeah, facilitator form details say successfully. Now let's go back and see if that facilitator ID actually did cross over to the youth file. Yeah, it did. So what is called facilitator name on the facilitator form is what crosses over here. All right, let me see what questions I can address here on the side. Oh, no, I think we got them.
So, April?
Yeah.
Where is the interview date entered so that for LA tracking? Because they're entering the data on a different date than they're actually interviewing.
Right, good point. Let's check that out. Should be on the form. Oops. Oh, I'll just check one of these youth here. Go ahead and look at the youth form. Last updated. Well, let's enroll. Let's do a new one so we can see if we have a chance to enter that information new. Because yeah, that is important. Let's see. Let's add caregiver form. Here it is, interview date. So it automatically populates with today's date. But if it was, let's say, on the 12th, we'll try that.
Yeah, that's sort of a problem.
What's that, honey?
If it's automatically using the data entry date versus the interview date, that could be a problem.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. So it'll populate with today's date, but you can go in and, if you can see here, it's given me a chance to change it.
Okay.
So I've changed it from the 19th.
It's just something that all of the agencies have to remember to go in and change. So I'll just have to I'll have to stress that.
Yeah, and yeah, that's a bummer because it looks like it's filled in and it might not really occur to folks to update that. So
exactly.
Yeah, we'll have to make that a big training issue.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Let's just go ahead and close that. All right, so that's the data entry piece. Do you guys want me to go over one more form, or is that pretty clear? Clear. Okay, cool.
No, it's better when you do it. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just review real quick. To get a new form, you can to add a new form for a youth file, you can go to enrollment. You can either find the kid or you can just work with all youth. That's probably what I would do because I have kind of a horrible memory as far as that goes. Find the youth, click on their youth file, and go to the Assessments tab, Add Assessments, and go from there.
So when is the effective date of us using the WrapTrack? That's what I'd like to know. And
Did I hear your question?
yes.
Yeah, what was that?
What is the effective date of using WrapTrack?
What is the effective date? Oh, right now.
Okay. After training, we're ready to go, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Another quick question. It says you're going to be down offline. Wonders will be offline from December 21st through January 7th.
Yeah, Wonders is permanently down now.
Okay, so it's down at this time.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so everything we're entering now won't impact anything for us at all in December?
I'm not quite sure what that means.
Well, I guess if Wonders is down now, we no longer have to use Wonders once we start using WrapTrack?
Correct. Yeah, everything has been successfully mapped over.
Okay, and all the data is transferred over, you said, to Wonders, so we don't have to worry about that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about this, but we do have a timeline where we want each local site to go in and make sure, spot check some of your youth and say, actually the forms we completed for this youth, is this demographic form correct, et cetera. And we've actually done some extensive testing, and we believe it is all correct, but we don't know your kids like you do, and we want you to get in there and double check. And after you've done that, you are free to absolutely enter new data.
And how are we going to get hold to the WIFI Easy Care forms?
The Easy forms, it's up to LA County whether or not they want to start you guys using those. It's just like the WIFI 4, you have to have like a separate contract for that.
Okay.
That being said, if LA County wanted to move to the Easy, you would just keep your WIFI 4 license for the remaining of the year. You wouldn't pay another fee. Anyway, Connie and I would probably talk about that.
Okay.
Okay, let's see a couple questions here in the box. Let me just make sure I've covered everything.
You can wait till Connie says get started.
In the time frame box, do we enter how long the interview lasted? So the time frame box, that is something that has stayed the same from Wonders. And LA County, I can't remember if you guys had something specific there. Some sites will put, let's find that time frame variable. Some sites will put, oops, this is easy, sorry. We'll put, 6 for 6 months. Some sites will put 1 for first interview or whatever. It's up to you how you want to use that time frame variable. However you use it, it would be the same as what you were doing before. Yeah, here it is, time frame. And we are very close to being done with WrapTrack manuals, so that information will all be included in there if you have other questions about these specific ID variables. Next question, if I am using the MIS number for Wrap ID, is that okay? MIS number, not sure what that is. Connie, do you know what that is?
The IS number.
The IS number?
Maya? Yeah.
Mental health number that a lot of the LA County agencies use? Yes.
Yeah, so that's fine.
Okay.
One other question. I entered all demographic forms for this cycle of interviews. Did those automatically transfer over to this new program? Yes, they did. Yes. And another question. I'm not clear on what the WIFI Easy form is. Again, that is our brief version of the WIFI 4. If LA County were to roll that out, you would definitely know about it and you'd receive these updated new forms. For now,
yeah, I don't think that LA County has even considered the WIFI Easy, but April, you and I can discuss that later.
Yeah, that's kind of what I figured. Okay. Is there a max number of logins that an agency can have? There's really not, actually. We can probably set you up with whatever you need. Okay, so that's the last question there. Any other questions? We'll just breeze over to the reporting and exporting section unless there's any other enrollment questions. Okay. All right, all good. So I'll log into an actual live data set that we have here in Washington. And everything is de-identified, so we feel pretty good about it. Showing folks, no big deal. You can see here they didn't use names, and only half the time they used IDs. But so here is an actual live data set. Go ahead and have folks mute their lines again. There we go. All right, I'll go ahead and mute everybody real quick while we go through this. Feel free to type questions in the box. So to go to the reporting section, again, we go up to the menu tab, go to the WrapTrack tab, WMV4 fidelity reports. This is probably pretty similar to what you guys will see because most sites just have permissions for the WMV4. One main difference here is that whereas in Wonders you would go through and select all of your data cuts, all your qualifiers before, here you can go in and say, oh, I know I want to look at fidelity scores, so let's just pick that report right away. We pick the report. And then here are these common data cuts that are exactly the same as they were in Wonders. So you can either cut by users. Connie, this might be more relevant for you. At the local level, you're only going to have one user in one organization for most people. So that's probably all you'll need to check there. Anything you check will get you the same result. For now, we'll just check all because there's actually 2 in this site. Hit continue, and then again, this is just like it was in Wonders. We can select by date if we so choose, and this will be super helpful for DCFS to have those dates. Or if we wanted to say, I want to look at all the data, first form, most recent form, or all form. If you're not sure, if you have a couple of youth who may have gotten the WMV twice, probably kind of unlikely, but you could hit all, and it will mean it out for you. One bonus here that we have as an upgrade is this Keep Qualification tab. So again, at the county level, Connie, is going to be super helpful. You can check this button, and it'll keep all of your qualifiers for any report that you run. So let me just give you an example here. We run the report, and here's the screen version of the report. You can kind of scroll down and check that out. What I like to do with these, because the window is exactly the size of a page, it does not visually show everything, which really bugs me, but I just like to kind of export the reports to look at them. So you have the option to PDF it, Excel it, or Word file it. Let's go ahead and open up a Word file here. So here's the Word version of the report. Again, this is very similar, if not exactly the same as Wonders reports. It gives you the mean fidelity score, the range by respondent, and then here's your visual graph. Broken down again compared to national means. And you'll note that the national means have actually been updated over the last couple months here. We felt like the transition to the new system would be a good time to make these go live, but essentially over the last couple years, nationally we've noticed a pretty consistent overall trend up in WMV and TOM scores, so we have updated the national means. That is a static number. It stays the same unless we change it. Anyway, that's a Word version of the report. Now, notice that I don't need that. Notice that in this report, you can go up here and select overall, combine fidelity score by principal, respondent, or phase. So you can essentially just kind of keep all your qualifiers and check everything out in this one report. You'll notice this one does have multiple pages. So let's go ahead and look at page 2, and it's just basically the end of that last table there. And the last thing, again, excuse me, here's this refresh button. So, uh-oh, timed out. That's weird. I have not seen that before. So let's copy that. We'll send that to the programmers. Not sure what's going on. That's weird. But here we are back. Okay, let's go back here. Let's look at that fidelity report again. Oh, yeah. Just that last point I wanted to make about the refresh button. So if we had 2 people entering data and, or Connie, if you're looking at all the reports and you want to get every last bit, you just hit the refresh button and it'll like literally give you live updates as you go. And that's pretty much it. you know, once you log in and you get all set, you can kind of have fun and go in and check these out. And it's also critical that you go in and check these for accuracy of your Wonders data, which was mapped over. I realize a lot of LA sites might not use this, some do. Up to you. So let me go ahead and address this one question. Now that the new system is up, is there a deadline for entering the data since the Wonder system has been down? Connie, do you want to address any new deadlines that they might have to think about here?
Having to take off the headset in order to talk to you. So we have another training next Monday, so I'm thinking it would be fair to give everyone until the end of March to get data entered. That would be, you know, the data that was due January 31st. So interviews that were done through January will have until the end of March to be entered. Does that seem fair? Okay.
Right, and
exuberance. Okay.
All right, cool. Any other questions? The only thing I have left to show you is the export feature. You guys noticed while we were on the phone, I got a little warning that said my login was about to be logged out. Did I want to stay logged in? That was cool. I've never actually seen that before.
I thought, what did change? Because we knew about it last time.
Everybody again, I apologize. Let's go to Data Export tab. Again, very similar in certain ways to Wonders Data Export, but essentially you can select multiple youth or just one kid if you want to just look at one youth or family. Here's the form options. We don't have the combined form options like we did in Wonders. You have to do each one singly, individually. You can see once you select the form, then you have a list of kids here. You guys have about 30 or 40 kids. Go ahead and select all, or if I want to start over, I'll just select none and then maybe just check 5 kids or so. But we'll just select all for the purposes of this export. And down here under filtered data, you can choose to see numeric values, text values, or both. We'll go ahead and just take a look at both. What kind of format, Excel or CSV? Personally, I like Excel, but it's up to you. Here's a nice option upgrade from Wonders, and that is if you choose, you could remove identifying information. I'm not going to check that just because these guys don't actually have any in there. If you wanted to conceal that, if you had to share this data, you could just check that. And then here is that kind of date range selection. So basically all or specific dates will kind of open this up for you, and you can choose whatever dates here. We'll just go February 4th to today, and preview output. So in Wonders, this would kind of shoot out a whole file, but here it's basically what they would call a preview window. So it's not like you can do a lot of work within this tiny window, but you can kind of take a look at what you have. And if you want to look at the bigger version, then you can either save the file, or you can actually email this file, which is nice. If I hit email, it actually will email from your account. So again, this person, even if they don't have a current email, which you can see she doesn't, it's kind of a placeholder, it will still send from your account. Go ahead and send that. Once you send the email, the preview actually disappears, but you can just go back and hit the preview button again. Let's go ahead and save this to a file. And for whatever reason in Chrome, it opens up this tiny window. And here we go. So here's our output. I think it's a lot better looking than the Excel file that was popping out in Wonders. You can see it gives you all your variables here. It says you have not removed identifying information. Here's the data to export and what you're looking at here. So another bonus is that the headers for this export are much more clear and make a lot more sense than they did. You can see actually there is question 6 number, question 6 text, engagement phase, planning phase, question 6 text, question 6 number. So if you wanted to do further analysis, you can certainly get your variables and what they're worth here. A lot of sites might not actually use this function unless you kind of want to eyeball what you've got in there, which is fine. That's just for your information. And here comes that login warning again. Wonder if that's why I got that. May have logged me out while I was in the middle of that report. So that's a good example of something you'd want to give us feedback on if you had a question about that error report that I just got a little bit ago. All right, so there's your export file. Let me unmute you here and see if there's any other questions, and we can talk about next steps and get you on your way here.
Give us training credit, put it in a notebook to keep a log of all training.
All right, so no questions that I can hear.
Erica, are you going to send everyone, you have all of these email addresses, are you going to send all of us the PowerPoints?
Yeah, I'm not sure how Hattie did that. Did she just use everyone's individual email, Connie?
Yes.
Yeah, that'll work. We'll send it around.
Great, thank you.
Sure, we can include in that email to so folks are aware of the end of March deadline for the January data input.
Thank you.
Like, sure, no problem. So a couple of things to keep in mind, guys, as you are logging in with your old Wonders login and password. That's going to be your next step. So you're going to go log in. First thing we need to do is get in there, look at your kids that got mapped over, make sure everything looks okay. Please run some reports and some exports. We only have until March, let me see what I think, March 10th to do this. So time is definitely of the essence, and I know you guys will be in there anyway because you're entering data. But please do make sure that everything looks okay with the mapping.
That's for us to see what.
For example, demographics, IDs, date of birth, etc. Does each youth have the forms you think they should have? Please spot check 5 to 10 kids and just double check. It seems like for LA County, a really good thing to check will be that date. Make sure the dates on the forms match the dates on the forms in WrapTrack. Okay, I'm going to have you take this out. The staging site is not up yet, and so what we were having folks do is go into Wonders, run some reports, compare them to WrapTrack, but right now it's not up, so don't worry about that. Some things to keep in mind: not every kid, not every youth will have transferred over if you didn't have the demographic forms. I know you guys all know that. So that's one thing to remember if you're finding some differences between sites. Again, it's permission-based, so Connie and I are going to need to go through this kind of administrative piece to set everybody up and make sure that you've got the correct permissions. That shouldn't be a problem. Again, March 10th is when we want any feedback that you guys may have, and I actually have an Excel file here that I'm going to show you. Yes.
Excuse me, this is Connie. Are they now going to be able to make their own corrections, or do they still have to make corrections through me, or is that part of what we decide with the permissions?
So yeah, that's going to be something we'll decide, Connie.
Okay.
You can certainly give them that capability, or you can not give them that capability.
Well, off the top of my head, I think that they should have the capability. The only permission we need to, keep clear is that they can't see each other. They can only see their own agency. That's the only. That's the only permission level I would be concerned about.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah, the only other one I can think of is the question that came up about multiple users per site, and we could kind of set that up as they bring that up. But yeah, I think you're right. We can easily set that up.
Okay, great.
Okay, so here is the Excel file that I'm going to be sending you along with the PowerPoint. This is just a way for us to systematically get feedback. So it looks a little overwhelming at first, but basically this information up here is pretty critical for us to kind of recreate any issues that you run into. So the first thing we want to know is where are you in the system? Are you in the form, the TOM form? The more specific you can be, the better. So like if I'm looking at the WIFI caregiver form, even better. We need to know who you are. So
Do it together if you want to go in and check.
what your name is and what organization you're with. Obviously it's going to be LA County, but you might also want to include what provider you're with. And your login and password, because we no longer can get in there and look at those. So if we're going to recreate an error, we need to know what your login and password is. There's 3 categories of issues you may find. One, you may find a great idea about something that, wouldn't it be great if the system could do this? And please do share that kind of information with us, because we are going to be having upgraded iterations of this, and all the input we can get from you, the better. You may find a bug where, you know, something happens where I hit export and I got this error message or whatever, or I'm trying to run a report and nothing happens when I click X, Y, or Z. So that's something we'd want to know about. Or you may have an edit suggestion. For example, item 4.3 on the WIFI form has the word potato cake instead of wraparound. Obviously, you want to change that to wraparound. So here's just some examples. Now, when you get this form, just go ahead and delete all this good stuff and give us any feedback that you find. Bonus, if you can include a screenshot, even better. So you can really get an idea of what you're referring to. Just kind of shrink it down and include that in the screenshot box there.
Okay.
So next steps, take your login and password, log in, see if it works, test your Wonders data, provide any feedback you may have in this Excel file by March 10th. The sooner the better. If you have any issues, just shoot us an email. We'll get you straightened out right away. Patty and I are both working on this, so the sites are not like waiting to get help. We can help you right away. It's no problem. Let's see. One more question here. Do we have until March 10th to do all of the entering or to the end of March? So for LA County, sounds like County's giving you till the end of March. For our purposes here at WRT, testing the system, March 10th is when they will stop fixing things, mapping errors, or like if you find something wrong with your data, we need to know before the 10th. Does that make sense?
Sounds good, April.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, if you don't have any other questions, I think everyone's got their next steps, and we will email you the PowerPoint and the Excel file as well as a sample of the easy forms. Anything else I'm missing?
Why are you mailing them samples of the easy forms?
Oh, we had a request, and Connie, if you want, I can send that to you, and then if someone wants to look at it, they can email you.
Well, I just am not sure that it's going to be an option, so I hate for everyone to get all excited and hopeful.
Sure, no, I understand.
But it's fine with me if everyone knows that it's unlikely. I mean, I'm fine with you all seeing it. I'm just not hopeful that we'll be able to switch anything.
Yeah, understood, understood. So I'll just email that to you, Connie.
Okay.
Alrighty. All right, guys, thank you very much. Have a great day. Please contact.
Thanks so much, April.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
I'll give you guys another one just in case you want an extra for something.
All right. I'll just get out of here.
Oh, let's see. All right. So, what do you guys think?
It's easier. It's better.
Yeah, it does.
More efficient. It does. I mean, you know,
It seems like
user friendly.
I haven't used the old thing, but based on your experience,
Okay, what I got, I'll get back to work.